And one.
Welcome to the Game Case, a show for, well, anyone that plays World of Warcraft. The show rife with ramblings, tips, tricks, and goings-on in WoW. Here's your host, Chris Case.
Hello, hi, howdy, and welcome to episode 12 of the Game Case. I am Chris, also known as Cuddlès, a brewmaster monk on Airy Peak in the Convert to Raid Guild. This week, I'm going to run down my week in WoW, get through some of the news and tidbits from the recent Q&A with Ian Hazzikostas and Lore, and have a quick and dirty rundown of what's going on in patch 6.2. Well, first and foremost, I want to give a big thank you to WoW for the opportunity this past week to be on Realm Maintenance. Not only was it a blast, but I've made some amazing new friends this week in the community, and I owe that entirely to Ro and his show. Now, I said it in the interview, if you happen to listen to it. If you haven't, go download the last episode of Realm Maintenance, check it out. Ro is great, and I think I did okay too. But it was an absolute pleasure and an honor to be on his show. Now, he accused me of kind of kissing his butt on that one, but let me say I'm really not. It came across in that very short amount of time during that interview that Ro truly is one of the great people in this community. A kind heart, a generous spirit, and really just genuine and passionate about what he does. And it's just an absolute pleasure to be in the presence of someone like that. So Ro, from me to you, from the Game Case to Realm Maintenance, thank you, my friend. It was an absolute pleasure. Look forward to speaking with you again sometime soon. So outside of that interview, I'm going to be honest, I didn't spend a massive amount of time in WoW. This was a little bit of a slow week for me. Now, knowing that 6.2 was coming, which we didn't know all week when it was going to come, but knowing that it was on the way, I kind of consciously took a little bit of a step back. Played a few other games. I did my weekly SWTOR leveling with Cuddlès and had an absolute blast doing that. It's a nice kind of diversion. Another MMO, but a fun world that I think a lot of us nerds truly enjoy. Also got to try out CSGO for the first time. If you had a chance to listen to that interview on Realm Maintenance, you would have heard that I'm a bit of a first-person shooter guy, at least from back in the day. Little Call of Duty, little Left 4 Dead, and CSGO was kind of my first step back into that. And I will say I was absolutely amazed, not only at how much fun I had, but how little anger I had kind of threatening to overwhelm me the whole time. It was, I remember the days of playing Call of Duty and throwing controllers across the room and screaming and jumping up and down. So I don't know if CSGO is a calmer game, or maybe I've just become a calmer person over the years. But I definitely had a great time playing it. Now, that's not to say I didn't play any WoW. I had, let's say, a interesting raid night with Rubber Chicken Coalition. I went into the raid, and this is going to be a little bit of honesty here, a little bit of real talk. I came in to raid night after an absolutely horrible day. Just a no good, very rotten, bad, didn't want to talk about it day. And I was also exhausted. I had come off of a 23-hour shift at work. We had a couple outages. I do IT. Let's not talk about it. Suffice it to say, I had worked a whole lot. I was exhausted. So, exhaustion plus frustration equals 99 proof alcohol, right? That sounds like a good idea. Well, about midnight into our raid, until 1:30, I may or may not have fallen asleep in the middle of raid. So, to my Rubber Chicken Coalition buddies, first and foremost, if you got some raid bills, send them to me. I got gold in the bank waiting for you guys. Other than that, though, we did have a good time. We had a lot of fun. It was nice and relaxing. I had a blast with Ascendant and Poor Judgment this weekend. Did some heroic raiding. Had a great time with that. Got some bosses down. Got some loot. We were able to avoid the Attendance boss this week, which if you've listened in the past, you know that we've kind of been getting hit with that guy here lately. So that was a absolute pleasure to kind of step away from and just get in there and get some raiding done. Now next week, I mentioned this last week on the podcast, going out and kind of taking your raid team and doing something fun. Well, that's what we're doing. We have my other tank is going to be off next weekend. We don't have another tank. We like I said, we've kind of been struggling to get 10 as it is. So what we're going to do is probably jump into like some Hearthstone or some Heroes or go run dungeons. We're going to get together as a raid team, even though we're not raiding, and we're going to venture out into the world. We're going to have some fun. We're going to, kind of do a little bit of team building. It's definitely going to be a good time. I can't wait to update you guys about that on the next show. Outside of WoW and CSGO and all the fun I've been having, have gotten in a good amount of Heroes of the Storm. Now, if y'all haven't been playing that, remember, it has launched now. It's coming up on a few weeks now. This week's rotation includes Kel'Thas, a few other heroes. Absolutely having a blast at Heroes of the Storm. Picked up Murky this week. How can you not? I was really surprised with how much fun I truly had with Murky. Just running around, getting killed, but you got the egg and you pop back up and you're swinging the fish around and, had an absolute blast with Sir Merc-a-Lot, as I have dubbed him. So go over there, check out Heroes. Oh, and huge shout out to my good friend and buddy, Another Notch, with Another Notch Gaming, co-host of the Stormcast podcast, which is a absolutely phenomenal show about Heroes of the Storm. If you're at all interested in that game, go check out his podcast and check out his nightly streams on twitch.tv/anothernotch. Streams Heroes of the Storm every night, and currently he is giving away Malfurion skins and codes. He got a whole bunch from Blizzard for just being a generally cool guy. So check those out. Go over there. Maybe win a code. I got my Malf and my Malf skin last night. So I'm going to probably dive into some Malfurion after the show. But go check that out. It's an absolute blast. So that's pretty much me done in my week of gaming. So let's see what happened in news this week. There's definitely been a lot going on. Now, we had right before the last show, we had the announcement that flying would be coming back. So we knew that it was coming. We didn't know all the thoughts behind it, although they did a pretty good job of explaining it in their blog post. The devs hadn't fully kind of expounded and explained it. And what we got Saturday was a Q&A with Ian Hazakostas and Josh Lore Allen, one of the community managers. It was a Twitch Q&A. It was really cute. It was, I don't know what I expected. I guess I expected a little bit more, pizzazz or production value. But it was two guys sitting in front of a webcam, being honest and answering questions from the community. And I really think after these past couple of weeks, since the announcement about no flying in Draenor, that's definitely something that the community needed. Now, Ian started off by answering a few questions about flying. And this was one of the highlights for me. Ian actually said, let me find the exact quote here. Ian said, quote, "There has been a lot of feedback and discussion from the community." Now, that's where you know Ian is wonderful at public relations. Because to classify the anger, the hatred, the vitriol, the things that were coming out of people's mouth as feedback and discussion is, I don't know, that's kind of a cute play on words. But it was really, outside of that, it was an absolutely wonderful show. He talked about time walking. He talked about why time walking. He talked about why you probably don't want to play a demonology warlock these days. he touched a bit again on the flying. He talked a little bit about the new raid tier. It was really an all-encompassing, wonderful Q&A from my standpoint. Were there questions that weren't asked? Yeah, of course. But you have to understand, we're a community of 7 million, and they had an hour, folks. I thought they did an absolutely wonderful job kind of covering and rolling over kind of everything that's been boiling up and going on in the community. There weren't any silly, fluffy questions in there. They just really went out and had a good time. Now, it's not often that you get to see inside a dev team. Now, I know WoW has been absolutely wonderful in the past about talking with us, about conversing with us, about letting the community know what's going on. But the amount of access and communication the WoW community has been able to experience over the years really is a rarity in game design. And some of the things that Ian was able to talk about, like, for example, the selfie cam, about how that was a passion project, about how that was just 2 developers coming in and working on something on the weekend, about how, yeah, we're not getting a new dungeon tier, but that's not because of anything else that was done. That's simply because the guys that are working on the dungeon tier, or that we're working on a 13 boss raid tier, which, come on guys, that's a lot of raiding content. Yeah, the Mythic guys are going to blow through it in a couple weeks, but how long did it take your team to download? How long did it take your team to down Blackhand on whichever difficulty it is that you choose? That's going to be a good amount of content for us for quite some time. And the fact that those guys are the guys that would have been working on dungeons makes perfect sense when it comes out of his mouth, but it's simply not one of those things that you think about. We presume that Blizzard is this massive, kind of infinite sphere of developers and people and endless coders and programmers, and they can do anything. But the reality of it is, at the end of the day, it's a bunch of guys working guys and gals working in an office doing a job. They have 8 hours a day. They have only so many people, and they can only do so much. Ian mentioned this specifically. There's a fine balance in between building in what they consider a massive amount of content and actually releasing the patch on time. Yeah, we could have gotten new dungeons, guys. Yeah, we could have a raid tier and 8 new worlds and 15 new classes, and they could turn it into, I don't know, WoW Destiny on steroids. But come on, that takes time, and that's probably not what anybody wants anyway. But with the selfie cam, with the raid tier coming out, with some of the other things that are happening, it's really nice to kind of hear that the dev team is really focused on this stuff. That we know that they're working hard, but kind of hearing those words, I don't know, it rings a little bit truer, and it kind of brings your inner kind of inflated expectations of what can and will be done. Now, we will not be getting flying in 6.2. That is going to come. Ian has said that will come in another mini patch at a Blizzard soon TM date. So we don't know exactly when that's going to happen. But he admitted that there's just some design flaws, some bugs that they have to work out, some things that they have to go through. And that was another thing I want to touch on. I'm sure a lot of you guys watched this interview, so forgive me for rehashing some of it, but I believe it's worth mentioning. And that's that Ian was more upfront and honest about making mistakes. I heard more, we made a mistake, maybe we should have done it this way, we realized that this wasn't the problem. Guys, they came out and they owned up to this stuff. It was absolutely incredible to see them sit there and be honest with the community, especially about messing up. There's so many excuses they could have used. There's so many ways they could have glossed over it, but they didn't. They came out, they owned up, they said that mistakes were made. One of the biggest of them being that patch 6.2, or 6.1 rather, that shouldn't have been a full patch, that they set the wrong expectations by calling that patch 6.1. Ian admitted that with the amount of content in there, that should have been a patch 6.0.x. It should have not been a full decimal pointed patch, because that sets an expectation in the community's mind. And you know what? Kudos, guys, for doing that. That was absolutely incredible. I truly admire Blizzard for kind of navigating their way through this. I don't know, this kind of what could have been an absolute PR nightmare and a lot bigger kind of hindrance to the community and our relationship with the dev team. So great job, Blizz. Like, way to go. It made me feel better. It made a lot of the rest of the community better. Frosty Fox here in the chat agrees. Says that they really did come out and were upfront about a lot of things. Really made me and a bunch I know feel good. Like they were not just out there to blow smoke. So, Blizz, I'm sure you already know it. I'm sure you've already heard it. But way to go. Good job. Well done, guys. I didn't think that they could have pulled it off as well as they did. So, I can't wait to see what's coming next. Now, this week also saw us getting the official date for Fury of Hellfire. Patch 6.2. Now, if you noticed in that Q&A in the background, I'm going to throw this picture up here one more again. And for those that are listening to this on iTunes, Stitcher, or thegamecase.com, I'll have a link in the show notes, but you can see in the Q&A there is a poster in the background of Fury of Hellfire. A lot of people were talking about how that was rumored to be the name of the next patch, and guess what? It is. We got that news in a wonderful little trailer video that showed up in Battle.net. Really cool little trailer. I was able to watch it several times. Definitely doesn't give you a lot. A little bit of interaction between some of our villains there. So it was definitely very cool. But the big news is Fury of Hellfire will be dropping on June 23rd, which is going to be next Tuesday here in the Americas. Important to note, again, flying is going to be released later, so don't expect it on Tuesday. Now, the good part about that is what you can do for those rep grinds, for some of those achievements that you need to get so that you can have flying once it is released by Blizz, is you can go ahead and get those out of the way. Those are going to be unlocked. Now, I would highly suggest going to wowhead.com/flying. If you link your Battle.net account to Wowhead, it will actually give you a rundown, a little breakdown of exactly what it is that you need to do in order to get flying in Draenor. And if you can see this on the screen, if you're here in the chat room or if you're listening on YouTube, you can see for me on mine, I haven't tried to go out and get any of this. This is simply me questing and doing things in the world. For those of y'all that are listening on iTunes or Stitcher, this is great radio. Really, really appreciate me running through a visual image for you guys. But let me kind of break down what I'm looking at. What it does is it shows you all the different tick marks that you have to hit in order to get the Draenor Pathfinder achievement, which is what unlocks flying for you. Without doing anything, my lowest completion percent is a Lore Master achievement that's between a rock and a hard place that I'm 55% at. My explorations, I don't have anything under 80%. Treasures, I've already gotten, I believe that's 50 for the Treasure Hunter achievement. But, I mean, basically, there's not a whole lot of work to do. Just natively being out in the world and doing some questing will get you a lot of these things. And they've come out and said you're looking at probably 2 to 3 weeks of dailies in order to get the new kind of rep grinds that are going to be introduced in 6.2. So, conceivably, this patch comes out. within a month, month and a half. Very easy. Thank you, I've been corrected. Master is 50, so I have probably 25. Definitely got to get out there and get some more treasures. But it all means that within a month or two, presuming that the patch comes out that quickly, you can get out there. You're going to have flying and drainer, and it's not going to be that hard of an achievement. It was one of the things that Ian mentioned is he did not want to make this an absolutely horrible hard grind to get. They want it to be something that's out there if you want it. If you don't want it, hey, for all the folks that were sitting there on the internet screaming about they don't want flying back, guess what? You don't have to go get it. You don't. Just don't do it. Or don't get on a flying mount if you do have to get the achievement. Just go out there, play WoW the way you want to play it, and first and foremost, enjoy it. Now, new in 6.2, of course, is going to be the release of Tanan Jungle, a new zone that we've all noticed on the map of Draenor. The introduction of garrison shipyards. There will be new pets. There is going to be the rep grinds that I have previously mentioned. Time walking will be coming out. Now, if you haven't heard much about time walking, this is going to be I believe they settled into a week-long event in which you'll be able to dive into an old raid. There will be relevant gear in there. Ian said in his Q&A that he envisioned time walking as a way to kind of power gear your alts. So go in there, hey, it's time walking, I don't know, Karazhan weekend. Go in there, run your alts through Karazhan a few times, get some relevant gear, and be able to level up without doing all the exact same content. So time walking is something that they stated that they had wanted to do for a very long time. I know it's something that the WoW community has been talking about for a very long time, and I really couldn't be more excited about this. As someone that has come into the game recently, I've never had the opportunity to experience some of this older content. I've never had the opportunity to go through and run Karazhan. I never did Dead Mines as relevant content. I mean, I ran through and hit some of these things as I was leveling up and running some dungeons, but in all reality, I haven't really experienced it as a real thing. And I honestly, I cannot wait for that. Should be a fabulous time. Really looking forward to time walking. Now, they're also changing how Apexis crystals are going to be handled. They've mentioned that they're going to make Apexis crystals more rewarding. They're also going to lift the 60,000 Apexis cap. So go out there, grab up some Apexis crystals this week if you can. They have said that upgrades are going to be cheaper. So Apexis crystals actually might become another relevant currency other than for your bonus rolls, or as we like to call them, doobly-doos, for your raiding each and every week. Which, that's something with time walking. Time walking is going to give you the opportunity to be able to get an extra Seal of Tempered Fate, or whatever they may call it in 6.2, which will give you an extra bonus roll in your actual raid that week, if that's something that interests you. Now, of course, we're getting Hellfire Citadel, a 13 boss raid tier. As far as I can see, as far as I can tell, we're going to be getting all 13 bosses right from the get on Tuesday. So this should be a lot of fun. That is a lot of bosses. From playing around the little bit that I was able to in the PTR, they look fun. The fights look great. I will warn you, if you don't like green, this might not be the raid tier for you, because wow, somebody went crazy with the green marker. If you're watching my stream tonight, there's a lot of green going on here too. That is definitely, everything is fell, everything is touched by the evil Gul'dan magic. So it should be a lot of fun to kind of walk through all of this and see a lot of the artwork that they put in, because they definitely put in A lot of hard work in it. It looks phenomenal. It looked great in PTR. I cannot wait to see what it looks like on Tuesday. Outside of WoW, don't let me forget to mention this. On this weekend, either Saturday or Sunday, coming up, leading up to the PTR, it's a good thing I can edit the audio version of this. Those in the live show, you get the unedited real show here. Okay. Coming up this weekend, be on the lookout on the Game Case Show Twitter, thegamecaseshow.com, and your iTunes and Stitcher account for a special bonus roll of the Game Case, where I'll dive much deeper into what's going on in 6.2, all the pets that are coming out, all the bosses, some simple strategies for them, some more about the Apexis mission, some more about the shipyard. I'm going to spend a lot of time diving a little bit more in depth into exactly what to expect in 6.2. That should be out before Sunday. Look for it online. And outside of WoW this week, we've seen the release of a Hearthstone card mount for Heroes of the Storm, which what it is if you win 100 games of Hearthstone, you will actually get a mount in Heroes of the Storm, which looks like a Hearthstone card. So you get to ride around on this little magic carpet. It kind of like waves around. Looks like a whole lot of fun. If you haven't seen it in game, it's definitely very cool. 100 games of Hearthstone, log into Heroes. It may take up to 24 hours, is what I'm seeing from some folks. So be patient with it. But it'll show up in there as soon as you get that 100th game. I have to admit, I am quite a ways from that 100 wins in Hearthstone. Although, this is a great incentive for me to get out there and play some Hearthstone games. This is definitely a whole lot of fun. So, with all of this going on, all sorts of players coming back, because we know this happens. A new patch comes, a new raid tier comes, some of these guilds that fell apart will fall back together, new guilds will form, will come together. And we're going to see a lot more people in the game. You're going to see LFR a little bit more crowded than usual. Ashran, there may actually be some people over in Ashran. You're going to see more people out and about in the world doing some of these quests and doing some of this new content. So I had something that I wanted to talk about this week, and that's kind of etiquette in game. Now, this may be second nature. It may not be a discussion that needs to be had with everyone, but I can definitely tell you this is a discussion that needs to be had with part of the community. Now, hopefully that's not you, but even if it's not, stick around. I may have something to surprise you here in just a little bit. Now, I haven't been around the game for a long time. I haven't even been around MMO for that long. But I've already seen that, like every game, there is a toxic element to our community. I am very much shielded from that. Being blessed to be in the guild that I am in, Convert to Raid, which is a very well-ran, very well-regulated mega guild with over 7,000 members right now. It could quickly decline into chaos, but it doesn't. Our guild chat, our looking for group, our raids, everything tends to have this wonderful kind of philosophy and spirit of community, teamwork, and respect, which are our guild's pillars. And that's not the case everywhere in WoW. So what I'm going to ask you to do this week, and what we're going to talk about a little bit, is going out and giving back, being nice, being a positive influence in Tanan Jungle and in Fury of Hellfire. You hear me kind of harp on LFR a little bit because it gets so much hate everywhere, even in the podcast community. And what I would really like to suggest is when you go into LFR and Hellfire, go in there with the intention of ending it with a smile on your face. and not just, oh, I'm going to start LFR and I'm going to have a smile on my face. Really mean it. Really and truly go in there to have a good time. Don't start it off with, oh, I got to go into LFR. Oh, no. It's the LFR blues. Whatever am I going to do? All these people going to be banging their heads up against the wall, and I got to do the LFR. How about you go in and, hey, I get to do LFR this week. This is going to be awesome. And I know it's not always awesome. I know there's people in there that are struggling, but remember, some of these people aren't regular raiders. Maybe you have a heroic or a mythic team or even a normal team, or you've just been playing the game for years. Some of these people haven't. Some of these folks, their only experience with raiding is in LFR. They're not entirely sure what to do. Maybe they're in there because they're forced to because of a quest. Go in there, have a good time, be encouraging, thank people when they do well. Make polite suggestions. Now let me classify this. A polite suggestion is, hey, I noticed that you weren't using X talent. Maybe you should try this in your healing rotation and it might help you. A polite suggestion is not, GG no re, quit the class and uninstall the game. While there may be a few players that play on a level that would make you want to say something like that, please try to refrain and do your best to encourage a positive and helpful environment in LFR. Now, outside of LFR, what can we do to help our fellow players? Well, I know there's a lot of us out there that have been sitting on multiple garrisons. I'm not one of them. I have one level 100. I have one garrison. Well, I have 1.5 garrisons, and that is enough for me. For all of you that run 10, 11, 12, 13 garrisons, bless you. I don't understand you. I will stand here and watch you in quiet amazement because that boggles my mind. But I'm willing to bet you're sitting on a whole stack of garrison. You're sitting on herbs, you're sitting on ore, you're sitting on mats. I'm not saying give them all away. I'm not saying to give away all your material belongings to charity and live the life of some sort of Azerothian pauper, wandering about talking about how you give to the poor of your worldly goods. I'm not going that far. But what if you took and you made one piece of crafted gear for somebody new to your guild? Somebody new pops into the guild and starts asking about raiding. How would you feel if you were brand new in a guild and somebody just walked up and said, hey man, I see you're interested in raiding and you're at like a 645 or 650 item level. Here's a 685 piece of crafted gear. Enjoy. Help them out with some mats. Help them out with pots. Help them out with food. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a new player. It could be somebody coming out back to the game. Let's start the folks that are coming back. Let's start them off on a good foot. Now, I say all that, and I can say that, and you're gonna walk away, and maybe you're gonna do it, maybe you won't. So here's what I'm gonna do. Anyone in between today, or actually anyone in between the release of patch 6.2. So starting on June 23rd, and then up until the airing or the recording of my show on Thursday, July 2nd, we're gonna stop this at 9:30 p.m. Eastern time on July 2nd. So the 23rd to the 2nd. If you go out and do something nice for someone in Draenor, here's what I want you to do. I want you to tweet me about it. You're going to tweet at the Game Case Show on Twitter, and I want you to hashtag Good Deed in Draenor. Now, that's already a long name and a long hashtag, so you might not have a lot of room, but don't worry, you can do 2 tweets. Only one of them will count. You can do this multiple times, but I will be giving away a prize. I do not yet know what that is, but I will make it something nice on my July 2nd show to a random person that tweets me with hashtag Good Deed in Draenor. This is what I'd like to try to do with the recent exposure that I got on Realm Maintenance. I know some of y'all are listening to this show for the very first time. Hopefully you made it this far into the show. Hopefully I didn't chase you off before this. But if you made it this far, go out, do that for me. Between the 23rd and 2nd, hashtag Good Deed in Draenor, tag at the Game Case Show, and I will select a random person to receive a prize on July 2nd. The best part about this is not only will you win, the community will also win. And that's really what I try to make happen. Let's make Draenor a little bit better place in patch 6.2. Let's see if we can do that. So that's all I have for this week, folks. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for listening. Before I close the show, I have just a couple shout outs. First and foremost, thank you to everyone joining us this week in the live chat. Frosty Fox, Midnight, Brumfondle, I may have said that wrong, Lifelink, and anyone else that has popped in here that I happen to miss. Thank you so very, very much for coming in. To my raid team, Rubber Chicken Coalition, to putting up with my memorable performance this week. To you guys, I'm not kidding. Like, seriously, I feel pretty bad about it. If I was the result of your repair bills, which I was, send me a whisper, send me a mail in game. I'll shoot you some gold. You guys deserve it for putting up with crazy cuddles. I appreciate you guys. You guys are my family. Broomfondle was the name that I could not get. Broomfondle, thank you for being here. But Rubber Chicken Coalition, really, you guys are like family to me. And I appreciate you guys being there for everyone in the team, both through the good and the bad. You guys really rock. I have found a home and a family with the Rubber Chicken Coalition. Of course, always my team Ascendant, Poor Judgment, equally fun and funny. Most of them, I suspect, are funny looking, but we have an absolute blast. Several Aussies on that team. It's always fun raiding at 7:30 in the morning, and you get on to somebody going, "Hi mate, I'm on my 5th Fosters." That was a horrible Australian accent. I'm sorry, but always tickles me big to hear that first thing in the morning. I know it's a totally different time for them. They're not all that crazy, but it's just a fun time. And then to row out one more time, thank you so much for having me on Realm Maintenance, sir. I appreciate it. Salute to you, sir. You do a wonderful show. I have followed and been an admirer of yours for quite some time, and it was a pleasure being on Realm Maintenance. Also, to my good friend Midnight, she's been helping me out, working on a little bit of a special project, something that I can't mention here, but something that will be coming up for the Game Case show here very shortly. Hoping to be able to talk about that in my next show, so make sure you tune in next week and see exactly what it is that's got me excited. And that's going to be it for episode 12. Episode 12. I need to really rewrite my notes when I copy and paste these things. That's going to do it for episode 12. If you'd like to join our live audience and hang out in the chat room, join us on twitch.tv/thegamecase at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Thursday evening. Thank you for listening to episode 12. You can find me on Twitter at Mullet863. You can find the show at The Game Case Show. And download us on iTunes and Stitcher. Catch recordings of the live show or our tips and tricks and kill videos on youtube.com/thegamecase, or find all the things on the official site of the Game Case Show, thegamecase.com. That's going to do it for tonight. Game Case out.
Thank you for joining us this week inside the Game Case. Please join us next week for more news, tips, and ramblings about the World of Warcraft. Game Case out.
World of the Warcraft.